Welcome back, everyone, to the Abundance Formula podcast. I think on the last episode, I was telling you that they were saying we might get snow. We got snow, or at least we did at our house. We got about 3 to 4 inches of snow on Monday last week, which was a lot of fun. And then Tuesday, it was the craziest thing. It's been a long time, and I honestly can't remember that I've ever seen a snow where it's like you woke up in the morning, you looked outside, and it looked like it was still the same light, fluffy 3 inches of snow, but then you went to walk on it, it was solid ice. Like, I literally the girls wanted to go play outside in it again, and I was like, "Okay, after I take this bag of trash out, we'll go play in it." And I went to take this huge bag of trash out, and of course, I knew the sidewalk was gonna be slippery, it was definitely icy, but I thought, if I can just get from our sidewalk to the yard, then I'll just walk in the yard in the snow around the driveway and just get to the trash can that way when it's flat and put it in. That was the plan, and then so I was totally committed. I was already out there, and as soon as I stepped on the yard, it got so much worse, and our front yard is actually a little bit sloped, so it would I mean, I bet our neighbors had a great show. I actually looked it back up on our security cameras and watched me struggle to take this bag of trash that I was too deeply committed. I was already out. And it was so hilarious watching it back, like me like scrounge across the yard like an ice skater, like, and then going to my knees, and then like by the time I got across our front yard, then I was on our driveway, which is a downslope, because now I'm realized like, well, now I'm screwed because the yard is obviously ice, so it's going to actually just be easier to go straight downhill the driveway than to try to loop to the side yard, and so I just ended up like literally just sliding down on my butt down the driveway to the trash can and then like crawling my way back up the hill. It was hilarious. But so then again, this beautiful snow turned to ice, which I've never seen. Like, it literally would look like a beautiful winter wonderland outside, but everything was solid. Um, for the whole next week. Like, literally today was the first day, and this is Monday again. Uh, the first day that it hit, I think maybe in the 40s, and it finally like actually melted some patches of snow so you can see the grass again. Um, yeah, so it was wild. So this whole past week has been solid ice. School's been out the entire week. I ended up having to bring my kids with me to my practitioner job for 3 days straight to work with me because their school was out. People couldn't go places. Their driveways were, frozen and they couldn't get out. So it was pretty wild, but it was beautiful on Monday and a lot of fun. And of course, beautiful to look out your window and see Wonderland, even though it was ice. But so, yeah, update on the snow. We definitely got snow and have had it the whole last week. So, but today's episode I'm actually really excited about, and it's just a quickie episode, and I'm calling it "Don't Skip the Curveball." And this actually popped into my head because I was like in the middle of a workout, and Sailor was up. It was super early, and she of course woke up early. And I'm trying to do this exercise, and she's scrounging on my lap, wanting held, and just kind of all over me. And I remember in my mind just thinking, like, man, like, there's always got to be a curveball, right? Like, when you're trying to get something done, you're on a mission, you've got goals, whatever it is. That was just obviously one tiny example. And of course, my kids are no inconvenience to me, but you know what I mean? There's things that would make things easier to do. And it just crossed my mind, like, man, there's always got to be a curveball is what popped in my head. And I thought, you know what? Why do we say that? Where did that come from? This whole thing about the obstacles that we run into in life, or the difficulties or the struggles, whatever it may be. Why do we call them like the curveballs? And you're kind of like, oh, okay, learn how to deal with the curveballs. So I actually started researching it, and I kind of nerded out over it. And I had some really awesome discoveries, and I was like, I got to share this with everybody. So I was like, why do we say this whole curveball thing of life? And I found this really awesome article by three well-known professors in the American Journal of Physics that was called "How to Hit Home Runs: Optimum Baseball Bat Swing Parameters for Maximum Range Trajectories." Like I said, I totally nerded out on this topic, but guys, stick with me here. Okay. So I was kind of curious, like, so what technically is a curveball? I did play baseball my whole life, but I didn't play fast pitch. I played slow pitch. So there wasn't that many, different pitches. People would put different spins on the ball, right? But it wasn't like fast pitch. So I didn't ever have to try to hit a curveball, right? And so I was like, so what technically is a curveball? And it's basically just a pitch that appears like it's moving straight towards home plate, but then will dip down to the right or the left kind of at the last minute as it slows pace. And they're really hard to hit. And so the research study actually showed that firstly, they were looking at how many people are in demand of this topic. And so they found like that over 8 million people were Googling how to handle a curveball, like how to hit baseball wise technical terms, like how to hit a curveball, how to teach how to hit a curveball. So it was showing like people have difficulty with hitting this pitch. So they wanted to know like why is that and kind of what became of it. So the study showed that actually most baseball coaches would tell you to try to hit a home run off of a fast pitch. There's like 4 different types of pitches. And so the best one they were saying to hit a home run off of was a fastball, not a curveball, because you're more likely to strike out on a curveball. And they were finding like this commonality amongst coaches is they'd say the best way to hit a curveball is that you let it go, even if they do call a strike, because hitting it will likely result in a ground out. However, this is the cool part. And it's like, I knew this just because this is how life is. So, however, the study actually showed the authors proved that an optimally hit curveball actually travels farther than the fastball. That the contact rate for curveballs is 20% lower than for fastballs, which means that contact is the problem with playing the curveballs. But once the contact is mastered, the data actually showed that you have a greater probability of getting to the next base by hitting a fastball. So not just a single, not just a double, a triple, you have a higher probability of getting more bases and getting more people around the base when you've mastered the contact with a curveball. And so what I thought was so cool about this study is that the key comes down to really recognizing a curveball and to practice hitting it. And it does take time and experience to master the contact. But when you do, simply put, the returns are more significant when you hit the curveball. And that's totally how life is. Like the returns are so much higher when you get through the obstacle, when you don't run from it, when you face it, when you overcome your fear around the thing and you do it anyways. And how much greater would our returns be if we actually didn't shy away from the curveballs of life, but just know that like there's going to be multiple pitches that can be thrown in life. So let's actually practice all of them. Let's not skip them. Don't avoid the curveballs. In fact, it's the one that we know it may be the hardest one to hit, but it gives the best outcomes. So practice it, welcome it, look for it, learn about it. Everything we can think about, like how to, and that's where again you learning and to hit quote the curveballs of life comes from what the kinds of things you read, the podcast you listen to, the people that you hang around, right? You learn these tactics and techniques of how to, and learning knowledge, again, depending on what the obstacle is that you're facing, like what knowledge do you need to overcome the kinds of curveballs that could come in that area of life, whether it's your career or if it's a sport or whatever, if it's a marriage, relationships, whatever it may be. How do we learn to get the right contact with the curveballs? Because they're coming. You know they're coming. We know they can be hard, but it is possible to hit them. But we got to practice them. We got to not shy away. We got to not quit. We got to not try to avoid them. The more we just welcome them and know they're coming, and our goal be to just recognize them faster and be more prepared for them, the better we're going to hit. So like what would happen in life if we didn't opt to not hit the curveballs, but practice playing the curveball, anticipating it, preparing for it, and really came at life aiming to go for more runs, to go for the home run. Like that's actually the statistics showed where the real home runs came from, not the fastballs. So I thought that was just the coolest little study. And again, like I said, I had this, intuitive feeling when I was looking it up, just because of how life works and how the abundance formula works from all the many people that I've seen and I've spoken to on here, and my own experience and the people around me. Like that is the abundance formula. That's how it works. Is I knew that although of all the pitches in baseball, that the curveball would be the hardest, that despite the common thought that like, oh, the easier pitch, the one that's straight down the pipeline is the one you can hit a best home run on, but really the greatest return awaits on the other side of the curveball, that the greater contact and distance can be attained from that pitch than the easy ones. And so I hope that can maybe resonate with you today, maybe change your perspective as like things come along in your life or your day to day that you're having to juggle that feel like a little bit of a stumbling block for a minute. Just think about this little baseball analogy, and I hope it can give you some encouragement to not shy away from the hard things. I always tell myself, and I can't remember if I first heard this. I think Chip and Joanna Gaines said it a lot. Maybe that's the first place I heard it, but like that we can do hard things. That's what we have to remind ourselves every day. Like we can do hard things. We do hard things. We've done hard things. Like remind yourself of that every day when either small challenges or big challenges come in your way, and hit the curveballs, guys. So if you enjoyed this episode, as always, I highly appreciate if you share with other people. If you want to go give it a 5-star review, that is also helpful. But really sharing it is super, super helpful because it helps other people see it when maybe they wouldn't have. So I appreciate the shares. I appreciate your feedback. And as always, as well, let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about. Hope you guys had a great week and stayed safe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.